Welcome, everybody. This is the CyphaDen Chat. I'm your host, Tayamu Denko. I got my homie Pestilence with me, or Pesty Pete. Fucks with the name, so you crazy with it. But tonight, special guest, David Lopez, Passion Park in the motherfucking house.
Yeah. Hey, thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it.
Of course, man. I feel like it makes sense, not just because we have the Alfred Banks show together this weekend, but I feel like it also makes sense because you're building something in Milwaukee.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, for sure. First of all, like you said, I'm really excited for the show that we got coming up with Alfred Banks. Shout out to him coming all the way up from New Orleans. But yeah, I mean, like it's all kind of over the past couple of years come together in that way. Like it wasn't intentionally like I was trying to build this big thing here in Milwaukee. It just, life goes this way, and this is where we are now with Passion Park, and I'm really proud of what we've been kind of putting together.
I feel that. So that you didn't, but you're from Chicago. So
Right.
did Passion Park start in Chicago then? Is that?
Yeah. So basically I started the company when I was gonna drop my first album. Like, it was like I was doing my like research and trying to figure out like I was like, oh, you need like people use like vanity publishing companies, right? So you just have a name, so it says it on the bottom of Spotify or Apple, when you drop your shit. And so that was the impetus to start it. Like I wasn't trying to start a label, but I was trying to start something that was like gonna be like could be a long standing thing for me and my art, whatever endeavors. So that's kind of why it was called Passion Park Entertainment, because I wanted to be vague enough where it could be like could work for me long term. So yeah, I actually thought of it and started the LLC in my parents' house in Rogers Park in Chicago. And then it was just my company that I released stuff through, and then we slowly started doing events like right after that. But it was really, honestly, I was just doing events because I wanted to book my own shows, just like you. It was like I was sick of dealing with all these other things, so I was like, all right, let me just run my own shows, and then it kind of slowly turned into this. So the monthly show started in Chicago for a couple of years, and then COVID, all these things, I ended up moving up here, and now we got a base up here.
That's what's up, man. I had mentioned it on the last episode we had just shot with the homie Pugsley Adams. Shouts to Pugs out of Chicago. And it's funny
Yeah.
because I had mentioned how we barely have any Chicago native guests, and it's weird because we're like neighbors. But you're
Yeah, we are.
technically in Milwaukee, but you're a native to Chicago. So I just thought it was weird that I didn't have more Chicago native people, because literally I've had Pugs, I've had MC Juice, and I've had uh Shadow Master.
Yeah. I was gonna say because
The,
Well, you got to count Annihilation, and you got to count
yeah,
all of
but
them if you're gonna count him.
oh, actually, and I have okay. So you're the
Kid
fifth.
Solo, and yeah.
So you're the fifth Chicago native, because I had D Nick from Microphone Misfits.
oh yeah, I know those
I
guys. Yeah,
think
that's awesome. Yeah,
I think that's it. But
yeah. I mean, I
okay,
knew. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
but so I had recently saw. Uh, I didn't know you did this. I recently saw like a throwback of you in what was that, like a role you had in Chicago Fire.
Yeah, yep. I'm an actor too. So yeah.
So how did, because I've known other people. So there's like shouts to my homie David. I don't think he did Chicago Fire, he did Empire
Oh yeah.
in Chicago. So how easy is it, or how hard is it to audition for roles that get filmed in the city of Chicago? I'm curious about that.
Yeah. Honestly, it's funny because it's like a totally different route. So like, cause like I have this conversation with people all the time, like artists all the time. We're like, oh, I want to get into acting. I want to do that too, which I think is great. And I would always love to help anybody that's interested. But for me, I started acting in college when I started rapping, so pretty much the same time, right? So, but they're two different paths in a lot of ways. Obviously, they cross over because it's art, and I think they help one another. But going into the acting world, like I got an agent, luckily, because I met some people. So you get an agent right away, and then you have to go through this just long, grueling audition cycle. It's not really. It's similar to music in the sense that it's not really about how good you are or whatever at the time. Like, you know what you got to be good at? You got to be good at auditioning, and it takes a long
Mhm.
time, which is a different skill set than like being on set and doing the actual work. It's kind of like being a good interviewer for a job. You know what I mean? Like so things have evolved. I mean, ironically, I auditioned for Chicago Fire season 1 in 2012 or something like that. I auditioned for the show years on years on years, and I never got it. Came close, but then this past year I finally got it. There's a lot of factors that go into it. Some of it is luck, to be honest with you, but also it's that kind of like 10,000 hours thing where you're just like, I've been doing it for a decade plus, and like sooner or later, sometimes things fall your way, you know. And obviously hoping for a lot more, but I've gotten to do a couple TV shows this year. I got to do 2 movies in the past year.
Dope.
Yeah, so I'm kind of really hoping that helps push, because actually it helps me creatively for art, for music, because to be frank, like they're better, like you can, it's like you can get paid easier off of art, off of acting, than music so far, unless you're like, touring and stuff like that, which I'm
Well,
sure we'll get
because
into. But
well, yeah, because there's a budget. There's a bigger
yeah,
budget for the
exactly.
movie.
And the ironic thing is that I've found that on these TV shows, like, yeah, they have these huge budgets, right? So like when I did Chicago Fire, like I got kind of pampered, if you will. Like I got a trailer, I got everybody's asking me like, do you want this food? Like all this stuff is cool. And then I just did a movie recently, which was like big names in the movie, but like they're different because it's like they spent the budget on the names. So like the budget for everything else was not like, it was not like pretty glitz and glamour shit.
Mm.
But that's like the shit that you're like hoping, hey, if a movie takes off and I'm in it, like who knows, you know?
Did those movies come out already?
No. The one I just shot is we shot in Louisville, Kentucky. It comes out hopefully, they said it in winter, like January. I'm hoping. And that's a bit, I mean, I have a small role, but still it's like Michael Jai White's the star and Tyrese is in it. So
Oh shit.
yeah, so it's got some bigger names. So like that's something I'm really fingers crossed that just like kind of does well. You never know, right? And then the other movie that I did, I played a rocker in. It still hasn't come out. I shot it like a year ago, so I don't know. I'm curious to see how that looks because I have my hair down and I look like a '80s rocker. Like,
That sounds funny and sounds.
I
Pest,
told I, you go ahead.
Pest, you got something?
Oh, I mean, I guess kind of in the duality of rapping and acting. Obviously you're brushing shoulders with kind of both sides of the coin there. Is there what's the like how much interaction do you have with like the people you're competing with, I guess, essentially? Are you seeing some of the same people, or are you just not even really seeing the other people you're going against? Do you still kind of have that same like weird pseudo social politics that like exists in music
It's a
with acting?
great question, honestly, because first of all, like any job and any career, this is the thing I've learned the most is growing as I get older. Is just like all of this shit is connections. So much of it is connections. Like, of course, you have to be good. Like the baseline is be good at what you're doing, right? But then like a lot of it is connections. So interesting. The big pivot with COVID was that almost all auditions became virtual. So like before COVID, like honestly, most of everything was like in person. And you would like, so there definitely has been cases where I'm going to in-person auditions and you see some of the same people. You're like, oh, I'm reading for the same whatever. But now a lot of it is virtual, so you're able to audition for more stuff, which is cool. You don't
Mm.
get the feedback in the room, which is a little different. But so I'm not really seeing the same amount of people like as I was before. It's just sending tapes in and you don't know what's gonna happen.
Oh, that's interesting.
It's very
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah, I didn't know the process. I've never really even tried to dive into. I mean, I'm a huge movie freak. It's kind of weird that I haven't even attempted to dive into it, but I just mm, I don't know.
It doesn't seem like it's a hat that you would wear.
I'd rather
Ever.
watch. I'd rather watch the movies, bro. That's where
Yeah.
I'm at with it. I
Well,
mean,
I
it's
mean, same as music, man. Like it changes your perspective once you're behind once you're on the other side of it. Sometimes then you don't. I'm not saying I don't still watch and enjoy movies, but like sometimes I will watch it and be like, oh, that's what happened there, or that's
mm,
how they shot that, or some shit. Like whereas you don't. It's like more of an innocence. You're just watching a movie to watch it. Like
yeah. I feel like I'm a good. I feel like I'm getting better and better as a videographer, music video editor. I've been doing my own shit for some years now because
yeah,
I mean, I've told the story before. I don't really need to dive into it, but basically, I used to have a video dude tried to raise the price on me after I basically funded his brand new camera, and then
yeah.
I was just like, well, fuck that. I'm just gonna teach myself
You helped him raise the price, and then he raised the price.
on me, bro.
Yeah,
I'm the
yeah,
person that helped you.
yeah.
That's
Yes. It
fucking
I feel
trash.
like that happens. Honestly, I've run into similar things. Not where I've had like that close of like where I'm like doing all my shit with somebody, but I've seen and those things where like the price slowly changes. Where you're like, hey, you don't think that the success of one of the videos we did played a part in that? Like, so I get it. I mean, but also I'm sure learning that skill set for you is better it's better to have that skill set. Like,
Oh, it definitely is. It just but it's just more shit that I gotta do now.
yeah, 100%,
You know what I'm saying?
100%, 100%. Yeah,
And there's like Pestilence said mentioned different hats. Like I'm not gonna wear the actor hat, but I wear a lot of hats in the music realm,
yep,
and I don't want to wear all of them.
yep,
I would rather we had Wordsworth on here at one point in time, and I'll never forget when he talked about how he just wants to be an artist. That's what I want to be. I just want to be the artist that chills. But I've realized doing music as long as I've done it that professionalism is this big in the music realm because everyone's a rapper and no one has huge professionalism. It's like this big, which amounts to professionalism mixed with their work ethic, which is hard to get across to people because artists, especially in hip hop, have this problem where they think it's just going to happen for them. They don't think work has to be done. They don't think they have to go above and beyond. And they think it's just going to be a thing that happens. And that's the huge problem in hip
yeah. I think this is actually a really important conversation and like for now for nowadays because like I would venture to say most every artist is in the same ballpark as you that they want to be like can I just focus on my artistry like what the fuck but like nowadays it's really hard like unless I don't know unless you just have a team and everybody around you just like 100% believes that you're like the star or some shit and they're willing to do all the other stuff like that's just generally like now you got to be able to promote yourself and make your own content. I was listening to an interview the other day with John Bellion. You know who John Bellion is?
No, I don't know.
He's a musician, but he's a songwriter. He's written a lot of big songs, but he's also an artist too. But anyways, like the point is, like it sucks to have to wear all those hats. It does, but at a certain point, if you want to show, and then this isn't me telling you, this is just me kind of telling it to myself, is like if you care so much about the art that you're making and you want the most people to see it, then you're paying yourself respect by doing those other things. You know, you're respecting the work that you're doing by being willing to do the other things because look, you respect the work that you did so much that you're like, I want people to hear this shit. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
it still sucks because it's a lot of work though.
Oh, it's definitely a lot of work. And we go through these how old are I don't how old are you,
Yeah,
bro?
there you go. I'm 34.
Okay, so you've been through eras.
Yeah,
I've been through maybe one more era than you've been as far as music goes, but there's differences in every era. So it's like, and anytime a difference happens, you have to adapt to
yeah,
the difference and then try to master that difference that comes with it. It's
yeah,
like now we're in the AI era. So you have to know your way around it or you get left behind. Or, you were in the um I grew up in when cassettes were big and people were, doing their cassette shit, the mixtape era. I grew and where record labels were still a big part where now fuck a record label because major labels now all they offer people are 360 deals and a lot of artists dive at it thinking that that's the play but not realizing what a 360 deal is and then they get fucked. So
yeah.
there's like all these differences and different eras and that's what makes it even harder.
No, you're right. And what's interesting is now the leverage, especially on the like the label side, I feel like the leverage is generally speaking in the artist if they have fans, because these labels don't even know what's working. They don't know what works. Like they don't like so they find a streamer now who's got like millions of fans or whatever like that. They're like, oh yeah, this is the real thing, but they're not ARing. They're not developing these people like they used to, right? So it's not. It's definitely a different game. It's like they're just a bank, right? Like and they probably, some of them were banks back in the day too, but they still developed artists. And it just doesn't feel like that's happening nearly as much.
Well, what do you think about the I mean, we're talking about you. I just
Yeah.
I just want to get the
Oh, I love
conversation
that.
off.
I love this. I love this. I'm with
What
all
do
of this. I
you
don't.
think what do you think about um physical merch now? Like,
I,
do you think artists need physical music anymore?
I win. I don't know about need. I think it depends what you're trying to create, right? I mean, for me personally, and I know you, you have a phenomenal merch setup. Anybody who's seen you live knows that. Like, um, if you were trying to build these long-lasting connections, and which I think is the more important thing than anything right now, I think it still matters because I think you go to a show and if somebody can leave with something physical, it's just I don't know. It's still maybe it's still a little bit older than some of these young kids in my head, but like that stuff still matters. I had a friend the other day was out actually at Uptown where our shows are, and he just texted me. He was like, "Hey, there's like a couple people here that I've never met, and they're wearing Passion Park shirts. Like we don't know who they are or whatever." And I'm like, so like you know what sucks is like having the overhead and you have all this extra stuff, but at the same time, it's like yeah, but the best marketing I can have is like these random people wearing my shirts around. Like I don't know what's
Yeah.
better than that. So I still think there's a big value to it.
Pest, you want to chime in?
Well, I mean, I think the merch has got to be dope. I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
you know that, Danko. I mean, it's clear to me. I mean, there's kind of two paths that artists I see have taken to try to get money, and one is either making like physical merchandise, and the other one is fucking over other artists. So it's like if you don't want to fuck over other artists to make money, then your other option is to like create something to sell. You know, we unfortunately we don't live in an era where you're gonna make any money off of streaming stuff, and people really don't see the value in buying the music because fuck, man, I can pirate it, I can torrent it, I can do whatever the fuck. So people, you know, you can try and hit them with the like, well, that's dishonest. People don't give a fuck about that. So you're not gonna make the money on the streaming stuff unless you're streaming billions and you're getting the promo deals and the sponsorships off of it. So, like for somebody that's independent on a level like we are, even a little bit above that, I think you need to have merchandise to be able to, like he said, connect with people. And then two, try to like recoup something for yourself. Because
Yeah.
in the world of 2025 post-COVID era entertainment, there's been a lot of predatory promoters that have popped up. There's been a lot of venues that have kind of either sold out to like Live Nation or just stopped doing entertainment altogether. So it's constricted the amount of venues that are available to artists to play at. And the ones that aren't like for the art then end up becoming that's even more that if you're just really about trying to do this shit and you give a fuck about it, of places that you can even express that. So I think like the merch is crucial for people like us because it allows you to invest in things like touring, invest in things like getting the camera, getting the gimbal, getting all those shit and being able to, you know, kind of edit your own
Mm.
stuff, pay for your software, do that kind of stuff and become more self-sufficient because you're not in an era anymore where you're gonna make money off of the music you're making. You're not gonna make as much on doors anymore or guarantees from places. It's just not as consistent as it used to be. So, yeah, and then the other side of the coin is, like I said, and Denku knows all the ones that I would be talking about when I say like people that just fuck other artists over, like somebody that doesn't share the song, charges you $200 for a verse or something like that, or you know, doesn't invest in a project, but then wants you to give them money for their beats, or you know,
Yeah.
like just all that kind of stuff. There's so many different ways that artists do that, and I think it's kind of the everybody's a rapper, everybody's a producer, everybody's a something nowadays. So it's like rather than and we've all seen Planet of the fucking Apes. Apes
Yeah.
together strong, but people are stupid, so they can't unite. And it's just
Yeah.
like
I
we're
mean,
fighting against it.
I totally think that's right. And honestly, to the people fucking over other people, that's part of the reason that I've run my company the way I have because it's been a goal not to do that. But so you're to your point before though, I think the good thing is I do think this is a conversation that is happening right now. It's like in the zeitgeist where artists are talking about like how the hell do we make a living, all this stuff. So like for my last album, Cafecito, I used the site Even, if you guys have heard of that site, which is relatively, I don't know, past couple years newer. It's very similar to Bandcamp, like same premise, right? Is like you can
Mm.
sell direct to fans. Even though the thing they do differently is that I got in when it was still like beta, which is nice because it was like they're still kind of growing. But the idea is to sell it exclusively to fans before it hits streaming. And like that doesn't work for everybody. You got to have some hardcore fans that are going to buy it, right? But the good thing, what I liked about it a lot, is that when you buy or when somebody buys an album, it shows them immediately what that streaming equivalent is. So, like I sold, I don't remember how many albums, but like before the album hit streaming, I sold. It wasn't a crazy amount, but I made like $500 on album sales, and the equivalent was like I don't know, like a couple 100,000 streams or some shit. Like that's what the equivalent was, which is crazy when you do that number because it was probably like 20 sales or something like that. But the cool thing about that as an option is that like it gave some people like a couple family members spent like $50, $75, $100 on the album. Like that is to offset some of the other bullshit. And I just think having options like that is at least nice. It's you can't rely on it. What I'm finding that is that all right. So if I do that once, like I did that once a year, then I got to go back to giving out a bunch of free streaming shit before I just come back and be like, all right, buy the next one. Like I get, you kind of got to do like one for one situation. Or I'm trying to find that balance because we got to make some money back too. Like
Well, if you build your fan base and you find what we have called in past conversations the mega fan,
yeah,
you find the mega fans don't care how many records you put out.
no,
They're going to buy all your shit anyway. And
true that.
I've found some mega fans, and Pestilence has found some mega fans, and we make sure we hit them all the time. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Because they're true supporters. It's not like we're trying to be like, oh, we know they're gonna buy shit, so let's put some shit out and go by them to make sure they buy it. They actually love the music.
right.
They're
Well,
mega
and
Yeah,
there
fans.
has been times where they've come out and not like, someone's between a paycheck or something and hasn't been able to buy something, says, "Oh, that's dope. Oh, I gotta get it next time." That kind of shit. It's like he said, it's not about like going and pilfering these people for stuff. It's more about like the respect of like I've been trying to build, like a monthly event here in Green Bay, and I've been running tires against a community of fellow artists. There's lots of people up here that are doing the same genre, the same everything. I'm putting on a free open mic in the coolest record store environment ever.
It's super cool.
that's
It's so
awesome.
dope. And none of these motherfuckers come out. And then they bitch about not getting opportunities and not getting asked to do these other shows that we do at other venues and stuff. And it's like, well, dude, like I do this every month. You see me post about it all the time. There's flyers, there's usually event pages, like this is happening and you're deciding not to support it because you think you're above that. And then you cut out that networking, that like community building as well, and you don't get, like Denku said, the super fan. And that's why I'm kind of like getting into the same boat as Denku has been for a while, where it's like he tours and he goes to the places where he's made those connections with people and those people exist. It's like it sucks because we live here, so we'd love it to be here all the time. But there's little pockets of it here, and there's places that we can go, and that's I think I'm gonna try to not overextend myself into some of the other areas that have proven like it's fun to go there if you want to learn how to perform and stuff. But if you're beyond that and you're trying to actually make connections and an impact with your music and you're at that point in your career, then it's like you're gonna come away from those situations disappointed. Much like him and I had one in Sheboygan recently, and it was kind of a cool opportunity because it was a dude that hadn't done shows was putting it on, and he was an artist and he was really cool. But the sound person ended up flipping out and cutting everything off, and Denku didn't even get to touch the mic,
Wow.
and it just shut the whole thing down. And we had all driven, we'd all gone out of our way to go to these places, and that's unfortunately um, not the most crazy shit that happens at these venues all the
Yeah.
time. It's
Yeah.
sad, but it's true.
I think you said something really that stuck out with me there. Well, first of all, that sucks that that happened, but you said like so. The distinction is because I think that a lot of people fall into this, right? They're going on not to shit on somebody calling it a tour, right? Like if you were able to logistically pull something off or whatever, like that, good for you. You know what I'm saying? You made it happen. But I think that there's a fair amount of people that um like that this like sometimes a going out of town show is actually like their vacation. And
Mm.
I'm not saying that that's wrong. It's just a different. The thing about being an artist or being a musician is that like there are people, and there's a value to it. There are people who are not who are just doing this because they just want to do it as a side thing or whatever. It's not like a thing, and but then they're also in the middle of people that are taking it really seriously too. So it's a weird like it's almost like if you were like in the NBA or something like that as an example. You're like in the NBA, but you're playing against somebody who's just playing. It's like a pickup game for them or some shit. Like I don't know. I'm trying to figure out the analogy that works, but like it's you're taking it this serious, or I am, and then the next person who's next to me is like, this is just like they might show up. So they might have booked the show 2 months in advance, but then all of a sudden the week of the show they're like, oh yeah, I got scheduled for work. So I'm like, oh, you never requested off for this? All
No.
right, that tells me a
Right.
lot. That tells me,
Hobbyists.
yeah, exactly,
Hobbyists.
yeah,
Hobbyists.
yeah,
No,
yeah,
I mean it's 100%. I mean, we've got a show coming up this Friday for it's my birthday weekend and we're doing a show and
hey.
I've had two fucking different acts have canceled for different reasons.
This is my
And
life,
it's
dude. I
like,
totally get it.
come on, y'all, like
I am not the one that canceled. I don't cancel shit.
Danku canceled twice. He's both
Yeah.
of them actually.
Stop it.
Surprise.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
both of the artists.
I have a separate artist name no one knows, and I canceled with that name too.
I love that.
And
I love
it's not to shit on people because I do understand there are times where like life happens, shit pops up. Like there's
yeah.
I think I've only ever missed one, but it was like I was no, I missed two shows. One, I was like so sick I couldn't fucking move and drive myself there. So and that was a Denku show. And then the other one was me and Space actually. I was staying with Space Case and we had a show that we were actually putting on, me and him, and we both got COVID. And this was like when it was
Yeah.
you could not socially go somewhere knowing you had COVID and be accepted by anyone. So
Yeah.
we just were like, fuck, we have to not go. And we found out the day before the show. So we had to like Zoom people through like, all right, here's how you use the DJ equipment. Here's how you set up this sound, like all
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
shit. But like a lot of other people that I've brushed shoulders with and again, thank you. It's a long list of names of people that commit to stuff and don't take it seriously. It's kind of more of like they treat it like their friend asking them to go to the movies next week.
Yeah. That's funny.
You
Yeah.
know,
No.
and
Yeah.
they're
For
like,
sure.
you know, they're like, oh yeah, I'll go. And then if something else happens or something better comes along, they're like, I have no problem canceling that. It's just going to the movies with a friend. You know, this is like to me, it goes deeper than that because one, you're making me look a little like an asshole because I'm advertising you and you're not going to be there. So now
That
I got to explain that to people.
that's what I've always tried to say too. Is by the way, I would say for our monthly show, if I had to do an average, I bet you we average 1.6 artists missing per show, and that's an average over a month. Because there's some where everybody's there, there's some where three are gone. I don't know, dude, but
Right.
it's definitely in that range. Like it happens all the time. But yeah, my big thing always has been like, dude, if your name's on the flyer, like what are we talking about? Like I have to promote you on the flyer. Like this is my business. Like I don't want it to look shitty. But you know, yeah, like yeah, you try to have I try to have grace with some of it, especially now as I've gotten older. I used to get much more angry when I was younger about that shit.
Right.
Now it's
Isn't that crazy? I used to be a very angry rapper. I used to, no lie, if people would fuck me over and leave or not pay attention to me or put me last when they didn't say I was going last. If they would do that shit to me, I'm so good off the top, I would diss the whole room of people.
I love that.
But I don't do that anymore because I found out that that burns
I've
a lot of bridges.
I've tried to
Yeah,
peel that out. I've tried to peel that out of him a couple times and it just he stood firm on his ground not to do it. But again, it's one of those things where it's and I've told everybody and I continue to preach this. I have a lot more respect for the person that of the 10 times I ask them, they commit to one show and they're
yeah,
there every fucking time than I do for the guy that says he'll be there every time and he shows up 25% of the time.
yeah.
You know,
I
I'd
think
rather you
no,
just be real.
I totally get that. I think I look. I think people. I can sometimes struggle with the um, saying no or like saying no to certain, especially when you're like when I was first starting. You just felt like you're gonna say yes to everything, but I would show up to everything. But now, yeah, being more selective with some of these things and yeah, it's a complicated thing, especially with these independent local showcases and shit. Like we don't know, like okay, so now we have that show this weekend, right? It's like me, you, and Alfred, right? So I think Alfred's a really good example of going back to what you were talking about with professionalism in the beginning. Like, this is why somebody can do this for a decade plus. Why is why you can do this as long as you can. Because yeah, all this shit bugs us, but at the end of the day, you're doing the work, you're keeping it professional, and you're still here doing what you're doing. I heard this quote the other day that it's been sticking with me. It's been sticking with me, and I think it just matters a lot. It's very simple, but it's like if you want things to stay the same, then things are going to have to change. Because if you like for me, I love doing this so much. I want to do this for as long as I can, right? But everything around me is changing. The life is we're talking about AI earlier. All that shit is changing. So I do have to adapt to keep it the same. You know what I mean? And long term wise, I don't know, it just makes a lot of sense to me. Is like I have to evolve, but also I think knowing what your not necessarily like your end goal, but knowing what the driving force of it is really important because I think so many artists don't actually know that, so that they're in this climate where you can be a host, a content creator, a influencer. You just get swayed in whatever direction you think is working. But if you have a driving force that's like, no, I'm an artist. Like this music is what's driving this. Then generally, like that's like my North Star. Like I know, like the decisions I make will be like, yeah, but that doesn't really benefit me as an artist. Like, what am
Right.
I gonna do? Go host your show? Like, what are we talking about? Like,
So what
Well, and that's
is
why we live in a world where I mean, for lack of not to shit on any of us here, but people don't largely know who any of us are on
right?
like a national, multinational level, but they know like fucking Lil Fuckstick and NBA Twatch Face because those guys are spending all their time promoting themselves on
Yeah,
Instagram, on social media, on TikTok, on Twitter. Like that's all their time spent is advertising themselves. And we're spending time making art, So it's
yeah,
like for me, I loathe that part of the process. Like the promotional aspect of it sucks. That's where it's like we were talking before where you're like, man, I wish I had somebody to do the other shit that I
yeah,
don't want to do. Like that's number one on the list. It's like I'll learn to fucking create every part of the process if I have to, but promoting it is the part that just, I fucking hate it. It's just,
well
it feels like time
frankly,
wasted.
and
it's a
and
different job.
yeah,
It
well
is.
the sad thing about that is there's people even in that realm that are not professional. So
Yeah,
like get like a publicist because I've had publicists and they never did what I ever wanted them to do ever. And I
yeah,
paid these motherfuckers. So I'm like,
yeah,
how the fuck am I paying you and you're telling me what what you want me to do? And I'm like, I know what I want you to do. So
yeah.
do
That's
what I want you to do since I'm paying you. And then if you want to add your extras, you can add your extras. But do what the fuck I want since I paid you to do your fucking job.
yeah. Seriously, I totally get that. And then once again, this goes back to the other thing is nobody has the answers, especially now. Like you can make they can you can spend $1,000 on this beautifully marketed video or this like video that looks amazing. They had this strategy for it, and it might do I don't know 2,000 views or something, and then you just post like an 8 second clip of listening to your song, and it does like 10,000. Like there's no answers to
That's
this
weird.
shit.
It's so weird, man.
It
It's
is.
so weird. Let's go back real quick. You had mentioned end goals. I'm curious. What do you have an end goal in sight? If so, what is it? And are you happy with what you've accomplished in music so far?
Yeah, I mean, it's I guess that's a complicated answer, right? Because I want to always remain driven, not be complacent, right? But I gotta also be like, look, I'm proud of. I didn't start making music until like my junior year of college. I was like 21 or some shit, like 20, and I wasn't even taking it super serious then. So like I feel like not a baby anymore, but for many years I felt like a baby musically. Like I was still learning a lot and growing, and I do finally feel like I'm at a point where like I don't know. There's like the certain thing about like getting respect and then then the success after or whatever. And like at least I know for me a big part of it was like being as whatever as vulnerable as this may sound, it was like but I wanted to be accepted as like an artist and as an actor or whatever. It's just like being accepted professionally and not even like not being like, oh, he's amazing, but just being like nobody bats an eye. They're just like, oh yeah, yeah, he's he does it. He's a rapper. He's like whatever. Like so, it took a while to get to that, and to get to that point, and that's I feel I definitely am there now. So I'm really proud of that, and I'm most proud of honestly what we built with the community of Passion Park and like the monthly shows, and like I didn't intentionally like mean to like give back to a lot of independent artists. Not that I don't want to, but it wasn't the initial goal. But the fact that that's kind of happened by natural. is I'm super proud of that. So like goal wise, I want to continue to like organically build that and just have like a like I want to have a home court like I have now with the monthly show. I just want to always have a home court. So even if I got to be huge, it'd be cool to still have like, hey, you could always see me here. You know, one this is my home court advantage. You come to see me and say what's up. So that's a big thing. I still like I don't like to be shy about this. I still want to be a huge artist. Like if I can, I want to have a hit. I want to have like I want to do all that stuff. But I'm not like necessarily just driven by like I'm definitely not driven by what's working. I'm driven by like hopefully what I can make that would work, if that makes sense. Like I'm not looking at what everybody else is doing and being like, I want to do that. I'm being like, how can I do what I'm doing and then make it work at a grand scale?
Mm.
So that's kind of the hope there. I mean, like I want to be a movie star, a TV star too, but I want that to also be going along with, I want to be doing both the whole time, but I don't want to limit I have a tough time setting like exact goals, if that makes sense, because I'm like
Yeah.
just want to keep growing. But I will say, actually, one specific goal that I'm really focused on this year is sync deals. So I'm really, really, really trying to push getting my music, into film and TV, because that pays so much better. You don't have to worry about streaming. Who gives a shit? And so that is an actual realistic goal where I'm at now. Is like, can I get some of my beats and some of my songs into film and TV projects?
Yeah, that's dope. I think so. Two things. One, I think I understand where you're coming from with like you want to be happy, but you don't. And I think the way to say it is you should always be happy. You should never be satisfied as an
Yeah, yeah,
artist.
yeah.
Like
There
there
you
should
go.
always be more, but you should always be happy with what you're doing because otherwise, what the fuck are you doing? Why are you wasting your time?
Right,
Like
right.
you should do what you want to do. But the other part is you mentioned like the trying to gain acceptance from like the people, and I think like I never really thought about that. Like, or I haven't thought about it in years, but I thought back to like when I was starting, and I think this is probably a process that Denku skipped because Denku was rapping from a young age. So he was
Yeah,
always known as the rap guy, in all of his circles. So it's not like he ever had that like you're gonna go from just being David to being artist David, like being this
yeah,
guy that gets up on a stage and raps. And it's like I remember when I first started doing it, and I come from a particularly small town, so everybody fucking knows everybody's business, and it's not a hip hop town, so
yeah,
everybody's like you're immediately harshly judged for being a rapper, no matter what,
yeah,
even if
yeah,
so you have to like kind of go out there and earn it in that environment. And I do remember the first like year having that like trepidation every time I would meet somebody new of like, oh shit, I hope like I'm able to do my shit and not stand out in a bad way, and just I just want to be invisible here. I'm like it sounds weird with the mask is
no,
like I want to be invisible, but that's the whole purpose is like I want to be able to kind of just blend into the background and let the art speak. Like I don't want my personal charisma. I don't want my anything to do with like who I am as like an individual to influence someone's, opinion
yeah,
of the art. So it's kind of like creating like a theatrical performance around it and stuff like that too. But like I remember very much in the beginning that part of the process and that being like a fucking horror show,
yeah,
and then
yeah.
once you get past that, it's like, fuck, what do I do now? Now like I'm here. What do I do now? And there's a just different levels as you go of like different things you can do. But that was kind of interesting because yeah, Denku's always been Mr. Denku, so everybody
Well,
fucking knows.
you've been rapping your whole life, Deku, or what?
12 years old.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I know plenty of friends who like that too, and I think that you're right to point that out. Is like there's an interesting, different dynamic because the age of you start these things does play into some of this stuff, right? Because starting in my 20s, and I mean, I'm from a bigger town, but I started making music in Wisconsin because I went to college up here, smaller school. And I
Where'd
remember
you go? Where'd you go real quick?
I went to Concordia in Mequon. So
Oh,
I
okay.
played I played basketball, and that's kind of when that was kind of coming to end was when I kind of started rapping and stuff.
Word up.
And yeah, I had a lot of the same things. Like, I mean, like I'm Hispanic, I'm white too, though, so it's like white rapper like starting like you have, and honestly, some of it I'm sure was other people, but some of it was probably just myself putting that on myself, you know.
Right.
And getting through that, and it takes time, but the big thing is just getting good at something, right? Like just putting the time in and putting the work in. Like if you're not putting the work in, then no wonder why you're self-conscious or whatever about it. But if you're putting the work in over time, it's gonna catch up, right?
Right.
David, tell me the stress level of putting on a multiple day music festival.
Oh man. Well, I tell you what, the biggest relief of it was just knowing that once it got going, for Passion Park Fest, this year was bigger than the last year, but it's our second one. Just kind of it was stressful making sure that everything was organized and having like over 40 artists booked. And frankly, to our point before, I think the week of the event, we probably had four people come out, foul out, or something like that. Which actually, percentage wise, maybe it was less than that. It wasn't terrible, but preparing for that, it was stressful. But like, I try to, I keep people around me who can help me and stuff, and like, I try to not let it stress me out as much as it used to. But I was really proud of. That's one of the more things I was really proud of the way that weekend went this year, Passion Park Fest, because it wasn't like the most lucrative thing or anything like that. I mean, like all this stuff, you got to put a lot of your own money into stuff. So like, it wasn't about that, but it was about the energy that was created and about all the feedback I got from so many people that were just like, "Hey, there was all these different cliques in the same room." And I think part of it being me not being from here is like I'm so not associated with any of these cliques up here or anything like that. Like, I don't care. So like I can invite people from every group, and
Yeah.
like to me, I'm just doing the same shit I was always doing. But then people that are in it are like more like, "Oh wow, we were able to all intermingle." So I'm that is been really exciting to see, and yeah, look, all this stuff can be stressful, but I try to
Yeah.
try to remain like.
So there's gonna be a number three.
Oh yeah, 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 definitely. That's uh so I don't look at the monthly show as something that I look at as like being like a big end all be all lucrative thing. But I will say the festival, I am kind of looking with an eye of like, could we turn this into something over time, like something, like bigger? But I also don't want to I'm really big on incremental growth. So like next year we'll do something bigger, but not gonna like blow everything. We're gonna do something
Yeah.
like I honestly the goal next year is to keep it similar, but just sell that bitch out every single day. Just have that shit sold out. So I want to just take goals like that. But I do have a vision in my head where I'm like, shit, the name even works, Passion Park Fest to me. I'm like, I feel like down the road, when I say I'm like not even an artist anymore, I'm like, I'm older, and I'm like, shit, why couldn't we still have that festival running and be big? Like,
I feel it. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Real quick before I ask Pesto what he has, I want to ask you. You had spoke
Hello,
about
can you hear
how.
me real quick? Sorry.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, you're good. You're good. Um, was your phone dying?
yeah. Well, I'm just putting on a charger real quick. My headphones actually died, so my phone's not.
Yes.
You're good. You're
Um, so the thing is, oh, is it weird now?
It's echoing.
Uh, no, I think we're good.
I can hear you guys.
Yeah, we're good. Um, so you're not from up here. You don't have to deal with the clicky shit, the circles, but you're from Chicago. Is it the same there on a bigger scale? Because I've always known how Milwaukee is. I've never been part of any clique. I've literally done my own shit, been my own entity, but I see it from the outside looking in and I notice it, and that shit is whack as fuck. To me, I think it's whack as fuck because people constantly complain about this idea about how there's so much talent here and I can't wait till the city blows up. But the thing is, y'all are in circles. Y'all complain that people don't work together enough, but y'all are in circles and you only push the people in your circles when there's talent in all the circles.
Mm-hmm.
So, why is like, stop saying that shit because that's not what you guys really want. You just want your circle to blow up. You don't want the city to blow up. You want your circle of people to blow up. But is Chicago like that on a bigger scale?
I think that yes, I would say in a lot of ways there's similarity. I mean, Milwaukee is just a smaller version in a lot of ways. There, excuse me. I remember always hearing about like when we started the show, um, the same thing in Chicago. I never personally felt that way and I think maybe some of it is that like I started music up here and then moved back and then it, and then started running the shows down there. So I kind of was always both. I never had a clique in Chicago. We made the Passion Park. That was the crew. That was what we ended up making. I was never a part of anybody else's clique or crew or whatever you want to call it. Like, so I never really felt it, but I always had people tell me that. Like, they'd always be like, "Oh, dude, this is all them at this event or whatever like that." And then once we started our own thing, um, I don't know why. I just always had this like thing where I was like, the energy in the room really mattered. So like I was always just like, I don't want to say, I'm sure I wasn't great at this always, but for the most part, it was really important to me to create the right energy in the room where we could all work together. So I just have heard from everybody else, clicky, 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 the same thing I heard up here, but I never personally felt like it like ruined me or my career or anything like that. I just kind of did my own thing. Like,
I feel that. I feel that.
yeah. I
Pass,
mean,
you got
similar to how you said you never really were in a clique, right? I think there's something to that. Is like you can kind of, I honestly, even like in high school, I was an athlete, but I wasn't like a jock. Like I was still talking to all the other people. Like I just think if you have that ability to kind of be versatile, it really can help.
yeah,
I
because
agree.
because I was CyphaDen music by myself. You know what I'm saying? I brought homies in that had did his phone just die, bro?
Yeah, did it like go to a picture of Bill Cosby for a second and then die?
I didn't see that.
Who was that? Who was that that flashed across the
Bro, I
screen?
didn't see it, bro.
It was like
But
it was
that
like a different picture. I don't
that's
if it's it could have been a white guy for all I know, but like for the first thought in my head was like, is that a picture of Bill Cosby in his sweater?
no one knows. No
So
one
I'm gonna
knows.
look like a real shithead
Maybe
when
maybe
this
I'll
video
play it.
VOD comes out.
Maybe I'll play it in slow motion and then I'll see what it turns out to be.
Oh yeah, and you'll do your first ever edit just to make me look like an absolute jackass when it's like fucking Kenny Loggins or something.
Well, that's definitely not what it's gonna be. That's hilarious though.
That would be
Um,
awesome. If, bro. Yeah. No,
uh,
I
let me see if we can get him back in real quick to finish it up. Hold on. Two.
while you're doing that, I was gonna say, depending on when he gets here, probably won't be in time. But I got the other mask back. It's Christian has it right now. It's painted by the graffiti artist, so I'm gonna debut that at Pesto Fest.
Oh, dope. Hey, do you have any other? Uh, is it just AG13, me, you, and Space now, or did you get?
I
Did
got
you drop?
Stream.
So Stream's gonna do it.
Stream's gonna do it. Yeah, Christian's gonna update the flyer.
Dope. Let me know so I can make a post whenever.
Yeah, I'm gonna send it to everybody when he gets it to me, hopefully tonight. He'll probably do it when he gets home. But yeah, it's
Dope.
yeah,
So
A
see,
thirteen filled in and then Stream filled in.
so see, Pesto Fest is saved.
It lives on, yep. Saved by A13 and Stream of Consciousness,
Yeah, man.
which is awesome. But Stream actually, he's a good example of what I was saying before about like I've asked Stream to do a lot of shows and he's always there's been reasons, but he's always told me no for the most part because he's had reasons he couldn't do it, whether it was work or something else going on. But he never once was like, yeah, put me down for it, and then was like, nah, sorry, I can't do it. He has
Yeah,
always been
yeah,
like,
yeah.
let me make sure I can fucking do it, but I'm
Mhm.
interested, and then he'll like that's what he did this time. He had to just make sure he was going to be able to make it happen, and he's like, can I get back to you tomorrow, or do you need to know tonight? And I was like, nah, tomorrow's fine. And
Yeah.
that was
Yeah,
yesterday, and he let me know he was
sorry,
good.
guys.
You're
So
good.
sorry,
Oh, it's
guys.
all good, bro. It's
He
all
could possibly solve the question that you have without you having to use slow-mo. Do you have a picture like as your profile picture for Zoom?
Oh, yeah, let's just do that. Yeah, yeah, hold on, let me do that.
No, no, no. I because no, not that. It
Oh,
definitely wasn't that. There was like a picture of a face that like came up, and for some reason I was like, was that Bill Cosby that just flashed across the screen? When you left, it like flashed to like a different photo and then it went away. So I was like, Maybe his like user profile picture is
See
like Bill
any of it.
Cosby
I
for
didn't
some
see
reason.
any of this happen. This is all Pestilence's doing.
No, I do not have a Bill Cosby profile picture.
Okay. Well, I was definitely wrong there then. But
Hey, we're in the AI world, man. You never know what can
What a
happen.
wild, what a wild choice that would be. What a wild
that's
choice.
why I was like, damn, like that was gonna be my next question. Is like, holy fuck, you gotta tell me
He's
about
like,
the Bill Cosby
yeah.
picture.
Hey,
Like, what's the story behind that?
maybe you loved fucking Jello pudding pops as a
Jello
kid. You
pudding,
never know.
Jello
So.
pudding
Like it,
pie. Right?
if it got grandfathered in from a long time ago, like it's been your original fucking, well, Zoom hasn't been around that long, but if this was like Xbox Live and you're like, I've had the Bill Cosby picture since
Yeah.
'99,
Hey,
I
man,
uploaded it on Windows XP.
Ghost Dad movie posters. So you
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, yeah.
Can't
You
take that
gotta
away
hit
from me.
it.
Yeah, if I had like a
Yeah,
R. Kelly song in the background or something like that, look, you can't take that. I grew up on
yeah.
TP2.com. I don't know what you want me to say.
Right. It is something. Um, I think. Well, I think it stems over because like we're in, obviously like the lower to moderate level as far as like success, I would say, because like there's obviously a lot higher we could all go. But like the people that are at the higher level, like there's an immediate like crucifixion of everything they've ever touched whenever anything like negative comes around. But then there's also like a steadfast group that's like, nah, fuck that. Like I'm still gonna listen to this thing. But
Yeah, I'm
I
in
have a
between
feel.
on all these things.
Do you think it would, I am too, but do you think it would be the same for a local artist with like their fans? If they kind of have I feel like
Ooh,
that's something that you have to earn with like success, basically.
I think you're right.
Because
That's a good question. I never even thought about it that way, but I think you're right. I think if say you have somebody who's just like local, but they might have like a song that everybody loves locally or something like that, which I know several people like this, where there might not be big even online, not have a big online presence or anything like that, but they're known locally, right? Have shows. But then if something came out where they really shitty, honestly, I actually can think of a couple instances this kind of situation happening. My thought is that people just kind of excommunicate the whole thing. People just like don't even they don't fuck with it at all.
right.
Because I feel like you said, you almost have to earn it. Like Liars. I don't know why I just keep thinking of R. Kelly because that's just like one he has so many hits, right? It's
Well,
like
Kanye right
like
now, Kanye
that
is like the
song
new
has
one.
earned, yeah, yeah. These songs have kind of almost earned a right to they live on their own, hopefully separate from the person. Like,
well,
Well, and that's
but
another.
but a lot of people fully canceled R. Kelly. Like now you
Yeah,
going to
yes,
like
yes.
now if like let's say I DJ an event, there's a lot of ladies in the room, and I throw on like something from 12 Play. I'm gonna get the craziest looks
Yeah.
ever. But for me, like you said, you grew up on 12 Play too. I grew up on 12 Play, bro. I'm
see, it depends
old.
on the age of your crowd,
Like
Danku. If you put that on for like the youngsters, they wouldn't even know who the fuck R. Kelly is outside of the name and the media and shit. So they'd be bouncing around and you'd be like, stop the show and be like, you guys just danced to R. Kelly. Like,
Yeah.
I got you all on film. Buy my merch.
Yeah, right, right. You have to be black.
Blackmail 'em. Yeah. Danku, this is a new thing that you could do.
it's a new thing, man.
A new
Um,
technique.
so yeah, I don't want to keep you too much longer, Dave, but I do have a couple more things. So I want to know
Yeah.
a standout experience that you'll never forget. Um, since you started music, let's do music and acting. Standout experience or a story
Yeah.
that stands out from music and acting, one each maybe.
Oh, yeah, this is great. Well, music wise, it's so interesting because like a lot of the bigger when I was first starting, I was doing a lot of the I mean, look, a lot of the reason I can be here this long is because delusion, right? So like I'm like I was spending to open for artists like big art. I opened up first couple of years really of me making music. I opened up for T-Pain, Childish Gambino, Kaz, The Wailers, like
Mm.
so Riff Raff, Twista, like all these guys, right? A lot of those were cool. I'd say but the the thing that is like, if I could have those moments now where I'm so much more polished and better, you're like, oh shit, damn it. I would feel like it would have been way better. But I have standout memories from the T-Pain show. I'll say like, I just remember being blown away from like watching him do sound check and shit. Cause I never knew how amazing he was. I was like, this dude is just so talented. So just being in those rooms kind of was really cool. Gambino show, I was at the rave. I did a side stage and that show sold out because it was because the internet tour. So I will say I was on it. Like I knew he was blowing up. And as soon as they announced the tour, I went to the rave and was like, how do I get on the side stage? The show sold out. So I ended up, my guys were selling tickets out front and we ended up like making bank because like we were selling tickets for like, there was parents buying tickets for like double the price out front and shit. It was crazy. So I remember that always being a standout memory, but not so much of me on stage. It's more just like the,
Mm.
that kind of whole environment. One thing I will say directly, to like my music career that stands out. I had this meeting. I used to shoot a lot of my first 3 music videos we shot in LA because I got a filmmaker friend who's out there. And so we did those. I spent, like I said, I was spending stupid money where if I look back now, I'm like, what the fuck, dude? Could have used that in a different way. But I had a meeting with this guy or these 2 people. It was like, one was a manager for like Snoop and like a bunch, or he worked for the company that managed a bunch of these bigger artists. And, and then the other lady was like an A&R or something like that. But anyways, it was a really good meeting and I was so young. But I remember them telling me like a lot of these people were like, hey, you got to get big where you're from, like, or not big, but at least like known. Like there's a lot of people who just take the shot and just fly somewhere and move somewhere and think they like this is the answer to it all. But at the end of the day, if you're building fans, like you have to be able to build fans where you are. And I remember that kind of standing out to me like at a young age, being like, okay, so it's not necessarily just being like, how do I just be like a celebrity or some shit? It's being like, no, we have to like build these connections and like try to be known where you're from and where you're from, you know? So I remember that standing out a little bit. Yeah, so those are some good ones. I mean, there's so many stories. I'm sure you have the same, but yeah, a lot of those ones are cool. And then acting wise, honestly, the biggest memories acting wise, or the biggest things that stand out to me have come this past year. I've had my most success this past year. Uh, so the movie that I just shot is probably the one that I stayed the most because the experience was just super cool being on set and working with like really known actors and shit and just like being like and building that commodity. Cool thing about acting as opposed to music, at least in my experience, because I can produce some of my own shit. I can sit in this basement and make a lot of songs with nobody else here. Like, but acting is like again, it's like you're on a team. Like you really are on a team and you have to do it together and so it's a camaraderie thing and a community thing. And we had really good chemistry on that set. So the set of Oscar Shaw, which should come out this winter, was a great theatrical release. That's my hope. Because if I can get a release where it's in theaters, I would be pumped.
Yeah, man. I feel it. Pest, you got one more before we close?
Yeah, I mean, and this is a kind of a jump off. I kind of think I already know his answer, but I'm gonna ask both of you guys this. Do you think there's a point where with any kind of artistic medium, you see it, I think, a little bit more with like music because there's more of it being made and put out. Like I think because like he said, you need a lot of people to make a fucking movie, but one guy can put out albums of
Yeah.
music by himself. Um, there does come a point where the ownership of that music and also kind of like I think it is earned becomes more of the fans than the original creators. Like for example, you take a song that like blows up and goes, goes crazy, goes viral. Um, maybe not so much these days, but especially back in the day, like when a song would go viral before the internet was huge, it was like a big deal. And then it was played fucking everywhere. But the reason it became big is because of the people like crooning for it, like the crowds of people, the fans, the people beloving the song and requesting it at their radio stations and doing all that kind of shit. Do you think there is a point where like the people listening to the music kind of own it just as much, if not more, than the person that created it because it's like a part of their culture?
Man, you know
Go
what?
ahead, go
I
ahead.
think I think that era is gone. I I don't I think it's different now, man. Like you had touched on how back in the day, like right, like stuff will go viral because of they'll play it on the radio, and then people would basically continue to make it viral because they would carry on the word, the message, and it would be like their song, like you know how people are like, oh, that's my song, like yeah, so like they would carry on the message. I think we're in this weird era now where, uh, I mean, and David, you might have a different opinion because I'm a little older than you, but I don't think there's classic songs anymore. I don't think there's songs that are made today from famous people that are gonna be remembered. I don't personally.
Yeah,
I
Ooh.
don't. I don't
I
feel that.
no, I get what you're saying because I think that it just doesn't feel like everything because everything's moving so fast. So like even when something gets a moment, the moment seems quick too, right? Like I feel like yeah, back in the day, you would have a song that like was number one like the whole year. Although well, I'm eating my words though because we have I think the longest running number one song was just like or like Not Like Us was like top 10 for like how like
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
these are
but
all
but
you know whatever things.
yeah, but real quick, Not Like Us to me is I'm not gonna remember that shit. I don't remember it now.
Not, yeah. Yeah, no,
Well,
I get what
I
you're saying.
think I think you do.
Like,
I think for a different reason you end up remembering these ones, you know? Like back in the day,
yeah,
like if Michael Jackson dropped a fucking perennial banger on you, like that just stuck with everybody for years and
yeah.
years. But now, like you said, the moment's so fucking short that it's gone.
I it's just a faster moment. I think it can happen, but it's really hard and it's fewer and far in between. I actually think it still probably does kind of happen in like pop music and shit, kind of. But not as much in rap. There's so much shit. It still can happen. I'll put to back to your original question, like the pure artist in me, when I can really access that point and be like, this is how I'm feeling. The viewpoint would be I made the art once I it is the world's art. Like it is, I've let it go of it. It is now not my place to judge how other people are receiving it. They receive it how they receive it. So like that's the pure part of me. Like that's what I'm trying to like. That's what the goal is to be like. Look, I put it out into the world. It is now, the world you can dictate how it moves. Um, but that being said, that's not gonna always. I'm sometimes I'll be like, yo, you guys are calling this a I don't know. You saying this is a dance song? It was supposed to be a rap. I don't know. I'm just saying something. But like at the end of the day, I think that the fans have the most to say about what the music is. Like, we make it, we're creators. They hopefully can live with it. I'm trying to make art that people will live with. And to your point of having it be last a long time, the goal has always been to make timeless music. And I always wanted to make music that was about life. And like I want to make life rap and about like what I'm going through and like stuff that I taught from a young age. My mom was a preacher, like she always told me like the more truth that you say, the more true whatever you're saying is, the likely it's a higher likelihood that it's going to actually resonate with more people. Like be more truthful to yourself and stay that lane. And then actually, ironically, it will somehow, like if you do it the right way, more people can relate to it because it's so specific that it's about something that works that way. So I go back and forth on a lot of those things. I try to stick with that approach, but it doesn't always work that way. But definitely like uh just want to make music that people can live with and like 10 years down the road, like yeah, maybe it wasn't a hit now, but if somebody listens to my album 10 years and they're like, oh, that mattered to me in this moment. So hopefully that happens.
I feel that.
I feel like we're just living in a worse Renaissance than the original one. Or maybe the original Renaissance did suck like this, where there was just like so much art being made that there was just like so much garbage. And then you had like fucking Van Gogh cutting his ear off and Picasso going broke. And then like years
Yeah.
later, their art's the one that survived the fucking apocalypse
I
of all
I
the
will
art.
say to that because you just reminded me what I was gonna say when you guys were talking about that stuff earlier. Uh, First of all, yeah, there's so much bad stuff for sure, but I think there really is more good art than like ever. Just because there's so much art, there really is. It's just
Right.
kind of hard to find. Like, there's a lot of amazing art that doesn't have fans, like that doesn't get listens, but it's like really good if
True.
you listen to it. You're like, yo, what the fuck? I see like 14-year-olds on TikTok doing the most creative, like best music shit I've ever seen in my life. Like, who the hell is this? So like there is some of that. And to what you guys were saying earlier about like the hits at the radio and people requesting it all the time. Like I think actually the new version of that, and you guys might hate to hear this, but I think the new version of that is like people using the sound on TikTok or Instagram or whatever.
Yeah, or on their
Because
reels, yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, because they're making like 100 videos with that same sound, and it's kind of like requesting a song on radio. You're just making it your own. Like,
Yeah.
I feel that.
and if you got your publishing down, I will say this: if you got your publishing and all your business in order, like those plays, if you get a lot of them, they still kind of rack up as sync. So like, I have a song that's really old that I don't know how it got used in some bunch of videos, like whatever. I never promoted the song, and I still get like some royalties off the sync of it because people are using it on videos. So I'm like, oh, it's not crazy money, but you know what I'm saying.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, before we close, what is next? What is next for you? What is next for Passion Park? And also, before we let you go, make sure you drop your socials and everything for the people to find you. But yeah, what's next?
Yeah, well, so third Friday of every month, we're at the Uptown for our monthly show. I view that monthly show as it's my residency, and then I got the homies that come with me. So it's always a new lineup every month, but it's my residency. If you want to see me perform, you can come see me there third Friday of every month. I got new music coming out all the time. I am working on my next solo album, the follow up to Cafecito. But I'm taking my time with that and just releasing, music as I make it. I would say I have this single out right now. It's called Walk of Fame that I'm kind of doing all right, just organically. So I'm really gonna, that's kind of my approach too. If something's doing right, like good organically, I'm just like, all right, well, I should just like figure out a way to just keep pushing that and see what the hell happens. So I'm gonna be pushing records, like that, constantly putting out new music. So far this year, I've done a single every month. That wasn't on purpose, but I think I might just keep up with that. So it might just be a song every month. And then whenever the album's ready, the album will be ready. Because I still believe in albums, still have a really strong belief in albums. I love albums. And will always continue to make those. But I do understand you got to and so I'll be continuously doing that, and then just keeping up with the Passion Park events. But then Passion Park Fest next year will be the next big thing that we're already kind of working on. But stay tuned for, man, just more stuff. And _ David Lopez is my socials on everything, and then Passion Park ENT. Just search Passion Park, you can find it. Yeah, no, I mean, and like, hey, thanks guys. Like, I really appreciate you guys having me. I got a lot of respect for anybody who's been doing this for like a long time, and I know it matters. Like, obviously, Denku, me and you have had conversations before, but I just know, you know what it takes to do this for a long time and to keep your head down and keep going. And it matters a lot. And voices like you guys being willing to do this podcast and talk about this shit matters. And like, we need this shit. So thank you. Like,
yeah, man, of course, man. We appreciate you being on. This has been CyphaDen Chat, presented by CyphaDen Music, where we inspire even those higher. And remember to never stop chasing your dreams, because you will never know what you are fully capable of. I'm your host, Tayamu Denku. That's my homie, Pesty Pete, a.k.a. the myth, the man, the legend behind the mask, Pestilence. And tonight, we had special guest, David Lopez, the David Lopez, Passion Park in the motherfucking house.
Yeah.
Appreciate you, man. And I'll catch you on Saturday.
Yeah. Saturday, June 14th. Come out to Uptown. Let's go.
All right, bro. Appreciate you.
Appreciate you guys. Yeah, for sure. Appreciate you.
Yeah. Peace.